Welcome to Age Well Washington County. I'm your host, Andy Wallace with Washington County Behavioral Health. In this new show, we'll take a closer look at the people and programs supporting healthy and vibrant aging here in Washington County. Thanks for joining us. As a behavioral health specialist who works with older adults, I'm fortunate to work with many of the community senior centers throughout the county. Each center is a fantastic place for social connection and activity. You can visit with old friends, make new friends, and get a nutritious and affordable meal. You can exercise, take interesting classes to learn new skills, and yes, maybe even play some bingo. Today, we're at the Marjorie Stewart Senior Community Center in Sherwood. You can certainly take advantage of all those activities here, but what makes this place special is that they take a robust and innovative approach to supporting the mental and emotional wellness of their participants. Staff and volunteers offer a range of engaging, effective, and approachable supports that help their participants thrive while managing the stresses and challenges of aging. So, let's go inside and learn more. I'm excited to be here today with Maya Martin Burbank, Marjorie Stewart Senior Community Center Manager, and Joan Laguza, licensed clinical social worker and consulting therapist here at the center. Thanks for having us here today.
Thanks for being here.
I'm excited. So I know you both have a passion for supporting older adults. And I'm excited to be here because you really take the idea of supporting the emotional and mental wellness of your participants very, very seriously. How did that get to be so important for you? Tell me about that mission.
Sure. So I've been working with older adults for the last 20 years plus, and I also have quite a few older adults in my family and have realized that they are human too and have the emotional range that everybody else does and has the stresses, the concerns, and the down moments that we all have. I've had several older adults in my life who have had lifelong depression, bipolar disorder, just like in the general population. And I've had some of them complete suicide because of the things that have been stressing them. So between that and seeing what has happened during COVID and the lack of mental health support in the general community, we decided to do what we could to create that here at the center, to make mental health support as easy and accessible to older adults as possible, and to destigmatize it, not make it something that is othering, that is accepted and understood that everybody experiences down moments and we can get through them.
Yeah, we certainly do. Yeah. So Joan, you also have a passion for working with older adults, and that's a specialty for you. How did you get involved here?
I was very excited when Maya explained to me her idea of making mental health more available to older adults in particular, because that is the population I work with primarily, and I'm very aware that our system of insurance makes it harder for older adults to obtain health care, to have insurance covered health care, and a lot of people just it's not even about money necessarily, it's about access, knowing where to go, who to call, and how to even find a therapist if they needed one. So I loved the idea of having a community center be the focus for where people could come for help.
So making that support available to the community, something I'm hearing is really important and a driver in your vision. So tell me about those supports and what makes them successful.
Yeah, so we have a broad spectrum of different style of supports here, from one-on-one counseling with PsyDoc students who are becoming our next generation of therapists and psychologists and counselors, to peer supports, working with people of your age that have been through similar things, working through depression management solutions, working in support groups, grief support, general aging support, and having conversations that are really important to people who are aging. Things that come up such as changing relationships with children, maybe stopping driving. There's so many different things that happen uniquely, all these changes that happen uniquely as you age, that we have different ways to talk about those and learn different coping mechanisms to get you through them. We also have a broad spectrum of support and isolation interruption groups. So we have specific groups like the Circle of Friends where people come together and build bonds to go on and create meaningful relationships. But also in the general wraparound programming here at the center, people will come in for a counseling appointment, they'll stay for lunch, they'll talk with people in the lunchroom, they'll start going to activities, and they have a whole community of support that comes up and surrounds them here at the center. Okay. So it's not just the mental health programming, it's also the social programming, the exercise programming, and the fun.
So tell me about Pearls.
Yes, Pearls. Pearls is the program for encouraging active, rewarding lives, and it's a great evidence-based program that really shows a high efficacy in lowering depression rates in older adults. So the program, it's a problem-solving program. So we sit down, we talk about things that are going on in your life that are causing you distress. We list them out, and each time that we meet, we pick one of those problems, and we brainstorm ways that we can either solve that problem or change our relationship with that problem. And then we do the step-by-step process of what we're going to do to solve that problem.
Okay.
We also decide on something fun to do, something active to do, and something social to do each week.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and that program is actually run by volunteers who get trained in the modality. And where I come in is I give offer regular supervision to the volunteers and to help them make sure that they're able to manage if anything particularly difficult comes up with regards to a person's approach, or if there's some personality challenges, or maybe someone who's got a particularly difficult presentation.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Joan is one of our great resources that I talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So when things come up that our peer facilitators aren't comfortable handling, or that they just have further questions about, we're happy to be able to meet with Joan, who has a long experience with these, to help work through those and give the best service to the people that participate in Pearls.
Yeah. Well, what I think is cool about that model is that, it's not therapy. It's peers supporting each other, working through a process that's been shown to work, help people kind of meet their goals, get unstuck, but there's a safety net, which is you, Joan, to kind of help maybe tweak some things or provide some guidance. That's a great model.
Yeah, and it teaches new skills to the people who participate, because a lot of people just have never had to think about, how do I attain a goal?
Yeah.
So they really break that down and break the goals down, because what happens with older adults frequently, aging in community, and that means they're living independently, is they get overwhelmed. It's like, I live in a house and the yard is starting to go to pieces, and I can't really do the yard work that I need, and I can't necessarily afford to pay somebody to come and do it. And then the cleaning in the house starts to fall apart. Maybe there's some medical challenges that come up. There might be some social issues. And it starts to feel overwhelming, and the person sort of freezes and can't really function anymore.
Yeah.
And so coming to the Pearls program is really good for people like that.
Yeah, for sure. Maya, you mentioned a Circle of Friends earlier. If a participant came in and wanted to get involved with Circle of Friends, what would that look like for them? What would a course of Circle of Friends look like?
Yeah, so Circle of Friends, it's another evidence-based program that really shows the efficacy of these bond-building activities. Yeah, it shows that it works. It's an 8-week program where we meet once a week, again, with a facilitator, and we have conversations and we do activities, so we're able to make those connections and have those deep conversations on a regular basis with a group of people. And our group, we have our Circle of Friends meeting, we do our activities, we have our conversations, and then our group goes out and has lunch in our dining room, and they kind of continue those conversations. And then different parts of those groups will go on and do other activities together. So they're continuing to build those bonds even outside of that group. So that hopefully, once that group is over, that they continue meeting and continue building those friendships and creating those patterns of socialization.
Yeah, fantastic. What a great model. Those are great programs, but I'm imagining sometimes people might need a little bit more one-on-one attention. So tell me about the one-on-one counseling that happens here, and I think you're pretty plugged into that. Joan, tell us
I mean,
about
the
that.
one-on-one counseling, as Maya mentioned earlier, she's done a really great job of partnering with local schools and having currently mostly psychology doctorate students who are in their last year
Okay.
of training doing internships here. And so the quality of the counseling is quite high, and these are students who are very focused on working with older adults and who are really motivated to learn more and understand what it's like to work in a setting like this with older adults. And it's been a really offering free therapy to older adults is pretty rare. And it's really helped a lot of the people, even if it's, a short term, even if they only are available for 8 weeks of therapy can really make a change in someone's life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Fantastic.
It's been a great program. I am really excited to be able to work with the students and learn from them just as they're learning and experiencing what they're doing here. Each one of them has a different thing that they're excited about with working with older adults, and also showing the importance of community mental health, bringing mental health out of the clinic and into the community and showing them how important that access is, has been really rewarding.
Nice, nice. So we know that 1 in 5 older adults struggle with their mental health. Joan, how would someone know if an older adult, or even they themselves, are struggling? What are some signs that you would recommend our viewers look for?
I mean, what I would say about that, first of all, is that most of the time it's a low mood or stress, right? That comes up for people in general. And that older adults are no different from any other part of the population. The symptoms are the same. For example, someone's got interrupted sleep or they're sleeping a great deal, loss of appetite. Maybe the thing that others might notice would be that they just don't want to do things anymore, especially things they enjoyed doing. They just are like kind of loss of interest in doing things, maybe isolating more, not responding to the phone, not wanting to spend time with others. Yeah. So those are sort of the common things that people might notice. What's different for older adults, I think, is that the way that we respond to those symptoms. So one symptom of depression, particularly, and anxiety, to be honest, is memory loss. And the problem with memory loss is older adults are so under fire in a way. They feel under fire from society, from their doctors, their families, their friends. They're always being monitored for, are you losing? Do you have Alzheimer's? It seems like you're forgetting. Yeah. And I don't think that they have a problem with the idea of maybe having some cognitive impairment as they age. The problem is what it means in terms of their personhood and freedom. Because what happens is, say someone is a little depressed and maybe they're a little more forgetful, and an adult child will say, well, I don't think you should be living alone anymore. I don't think you should be driving anymore. And we found this great place for you to live. And the person just is not going to respond well to that. I mean, think how you would feel if I came into your house and said, you seem to be really forgetful, and I think you can't live alone anymore. And so it sets aside all of the other reasons why someone might be experiencing some memory problems, which could be requiring medical care, like a urinary tract infection often can impact how our brains are working, or medication effects. There's all of these other factors that need to come into play. And this is where the ageism comes in. And I want to talk about ageism because it affects every aspect of older adults' life. So it's not only the, having someone look at you and say you're old, and so obviously your brain doesn't work anymore and you're probably going to fall down in 5 minutes. And so, we get nothing for you. What I want to emphasize is that there's this internalized ageism that we all carry within us that started when we were small, that this is grandma and grandma's older now and she can't do things. The reality is, first of all, thanks to medical technology, we're living older and older and people are high functioning. Yeah. And so older adults are staying in society more, they're staying out in the work world later. And I think that we need to adjust the way we are thinking about them. So if an older adult is experiencing a little memory loss and it's related to mood, they're not going to volunteer that information. And older adults are quite skilled, people are quite skilled at masking any kind of deficiency because we're very invested in appearing normal to everybody. Yeah. So I think that's one of the challenges. So when an older adult says, often what I'll hear is, I just don't really think I can go on like this, which on the face of it sounds like a kind of a, okay, yeah, your situation's really difficult and you're old and you're miserable, so yeah, that makes sense to me. But if you think about what they're saying really and take it seriously, you know, the rates of a completion of suicide in older adults are very high in compared to other areas of the population. And we need to listen for things like that and take it seriously. And it doesn't mean call 911 and get into it. It just means asking, hey, what do you mean by that? And what are you thinking about? Because often people will make statements like that when they're feeling very frustrated and like their options are few to none. And helping someone problem solve might get them out of that space of feeling like they don't have options. And that's what we're doing here. So with, like, for example, the aging support group, it's on the face of it, it's not a mental health group. It's not for people. People don't have to say, oh, I have sadness or anxiety or stress or a problem, right? They just can come and benefit from the community that we've established there, and they're very mutually supportive, and to have that experience, which they're not getting in their homes when they're living independently.
Well, let me ask you both this. What advice do you have for our audience about learning how to be more comfortable thinking about and talking about mental health?
I really believe that, I like to think about mental wellness, first of all. I really wish that our system, our medical system, when you have your annual checkup, I wish that there was a mental health checkup, a full evaluation. How are you doing? A lot of questions, not just usually, your doctor will ask a couple of questions, mainly focused around, are you thinking about harming yourself? And everyone's going to say generally no to that question. And then that's the end of the queries around that. I wish that there was a little more investigation into how people are doing emotionally, and that would help destigmatize the idea. Mental health it's stigmatized because people don't really understand what's going on. Why am I feeling bad? There must be something wrong with me. And the reality is, no, there's nothing wrong with you. It might be a biological process, right? There might be significant social stressors, any kind of major change that people experience in their lives. And what you were talking about just now about having to experience change in a different way. I talk about aging. In order to age and feel okay about yourself, you have to be willing to adapt. It cannot be, well, I've always done it this way, so now I'm going to keep doing it that way. And I say, you cannot clear your gutters by yourself anymore at 75. You cannot climb on the roof and clear your gutters, because if you fall, it's not the same as when you're 35. And I think people also, we have such a strong, fiercely independent culture that it goes against our instincts, really. We need to take care of ourselves and if we ask for help, we're weak, right? So that's all folded into that, right? But I think that I wish that we could talk about it more, and that's one of the reasons that I'm so excited to get involved here at the center, because it gives me an opportunity to reach more people than just in my practice and in the other education things that I'm doing. So I feel very invested in sharing information and talking about these difficult topics.
And I would say just do it, to coin a phrase. People are so afraid of having conversations about real issues, about how people are feeling, how people are coping, especially as we went through COVID and everybody was experiencing a lot of stressors and a lot of pains in their life and a lot of worries. a lot of people shied away from those conversations. And so when you sense somebody's having a struggle and you're getting what I call, the spidey sense that something's going on, just put yourself in that place, put yourself in that temporarily uncomfortable place, and just reach out and be like, what's going on? Some things have been going on in your life, and I just wanted to check in, like, do you have a minute? Like, let's talk about it, because I really want to know what's happening with your life, and I want to be here for you. Just reaching out and starting a conversation is what you should do whenever you feel like you should.
Yeah. So being present and noticing in a community is what's going on here, it sounds like. And that goes a long way to make it okay to think about and talk about mental health.
Yeah, and emphasizing what people already know. And
Yeah,
the people coming here, they're absolutely competent and informed. And I've had some wonderful conversations in the aging support group. There was someone who had worked in, just a lovely person who's quite in the higher end of the group in terms of age, really had she got very, very excited talking about her career, but excited, and that was such a hard thing that I did, and I'm so proud of myself that I was successful and I made it through. It was challenging, but just to hear the spark and to notice that, we don't sort of like die out and our glow is dimmed, as we age. The fire actually can burn bright.
Yeah. Let's go hear from some of the volunteers and participants here.
So my name is Tammy Steffens, and I'm the volunteer coordinator for the city. So I get to recruit and onboard the volunteers for the senior center. We do have volunteers of all ages here, from as young as 13 up, and they all get excited about coming here. There's a very positive vibe here, real great energy in this building.
I come over here 5 days a week for Strong for Life exercises on Monday and Thursdays, and I come over here every day for the delicious lunches we have here. It has been a way of me enjoying meeting other people, and I love it here.
Well, for the biggest part, it's the socialization. I get to talk to people and see people again. There's so many interesting and nice people at this place. People love to come here. Food, games, information, to learn how to deal with getting old and how to deal with, all that stuff. And it's great.
Coming here has changed my life extremely. I just am so grateful that there is something like the senior center that is here to help us elderly that are struggling, and I just can't thank them enough for all that they do to support us. But they're so thoughtful and they're so kind, and every day I just am just grateful that there is someone here that cares about us.
Those were great to hear. Fantastic.
They were.
Very powerful. So, Maya, tell me, how do people get involved here?
So the main way to get connected with us is to give us a call here at the Marjorie Stewart Senior Center and say you're interested in one of our mental health support programs, and then I will be talking to you. We'll have a conversation about what's going on in your life, and I'll look for what we can do to help support you. You can also self-referral through our website. We have a form that you can fill out to ask you some questions if you don't want to quite talk to a person right away, or it's 1 o'clock in the morning and you're thinking that you'd like some support. Go to our website and fill out that form. You can also refer somebody else to our programs. You can let us know who you are, or you can be anonymous. I will do a follow-up and ask you a little bit more about that individual, and then I'll follow up with that person. So we take referrals in all different ways.
Is there any cost to any of the services?
All of our programs are free. We're very lucky to be a community-funded program. So all of our funding comes from grants and donations from the community. So there is no cost. There is no insurance involved in this process. We wanted to make it accessible to as many people without any barriers.
How else can people support the good work going on here?
Thank you for asking that. I love that question. As I said, we are community funded, so any donations that can go towards this program help keeps these different programs running, keeps our support groups, keeps our mentorship up and running, and it covers all of these costs. But I also know that a lot of people might not be able to afford a donation, but might have some time that they can spend with us. So we're always looking for volunteers in so many different areas, from all of these wonderful programs, peer support, but also chopping vegetables for lunch, or answering the telephone, or leading other programs that might be of a passion or an interest to a person.
Fantastic. Maya, Joan, thank you for having us here today, and thanks for the great work you're doing and the impact you're having here in the community. And for Age Well Washington County, I'm Andy Wallace. Until next time, be well.